It's a cold world. It's a cold world, you know.
It is.
This is what happens, you know. If you can't toughen up and you can't make the tough decisions, then you end up at the bottom of the table. Nobody cares. They're just waiting for you to drop out again. Your name comes up on the fixture links that either go, all right, there's 3 points there, and then they'll be gone by the end of the season. That's how cold it is.
It depends if you're Arsenal.
Well,
if you're Arsenal, it might be 3 points for them.
I still think that every game for them is going to be just difficult. Cold world, man.
It's tough out here.
I've got no sympathy, no love, no sympathy. My heart is made of granite. You hear that sound? That's the sound of your tears bouncing off my cold heart. Goodbye, Sheffield United.
I don't care. I don't care for them.
I'm going to eat those words so much, man.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
Yes. Welcome back to FPL Bros. This is episode 35, and we are going to preview Gameweek 9. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, good.
I'm all good.
It's been a long break, hasn't it?
Seems like it.
Yeah, the international break. How I hate it.
Everyone does. Everyone seems to. But I guess summer's really when people want international football, not during the league season. Anyway, so we're just going to pick up where we left off from the last episode. We were looking at the next 4 fixtures, and we went through 10 teams, and so we got the rest of the league to go through.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
So, Derek, do you want to get us started off with the upcoming fixtures for the next 10 teams?
Well, before we kick off, I think we all spoke about how we did the previous week. Maybe, Jamie, you get to talk about how you did in the last game week, and then I'll kick off from there.
Yeah, Jamie, how did you do?
Great. Thanks for that, guys. I really appreciate the quality and all that. I got in game week 8, 56 points. My highest scorer was my captain Kane. Salah, sorry, not Kane. And Doherty as well, with the assist, clean sheet, and all 3 bonus points. He got me 12. 56 means that I was just 1 point above the average, which I'll take, I guess. If I were ahead of the average, that's not so bad. But it was a pretty poor week for me because Costa got me -1 and no real big hitters other than that.
Yeah, I think it was a tough week because a lot of people actually did quite well, and I guess it just depended on who you owned, really. Yeah, you know, I can't remember exactly who did the best last week. Yeah, a lot of people had Souček, he did well. A lot of people had Ziyech, he did well. I think Chilwell also had a good game. And as you know, Manchester United players are incredibly popular. There are plenty of people who must have had Fernandes, and he got 17 points, so they were laughing, basically, as well.
Yeah.
If you didn't have any of those players, then, yeah, it was a bit of a tough one to take. But, sometimes your players do well, sometimes they don't.
Exactly.
So, we're looking at the next 4 fixtures. You ready to get that?
Ready to kick off from where we left off. So,
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
where we left off, the next team would have been Manchester City. So, Manchester City, their next 4 fixtures, Tottenham, Burnley, Fulham, and United. So, Tottenham away, Burnley at home, Fulham at home, and United away. So, they've got 2 fairly difficult games away and 2 fairly easy games at home in between. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that's quite a mixed bag, really. I think a lot depends on whether Jesus is really going to start clicking or not, and whether we're going to see the Torres that we saw for Spain when they put 6 goals past Germany and he got a hat-trick.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a bit of a mixed bag as well. I think the last interesting because I feel like the last fixture being Man United away, it really depends on how the other 3 went, because I feel like if they can build up their momentum, then they could have Man United away, but I think that's by far the toughest fixture out of all of them for them, because they're not good at going against Old Trafford and they're not good against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer either.
No, you've got a point there. I mean, they could just end up being another PSG, couldn't they?
Exactly. It's interesting.
consider any defending or attacking players from City at this moment?
Well, for me, it's still Sterling and to a lesser extent De Bruyne. If you are able to take his benchings on the chin, you could go with Foden, but he hasn't started the last 3 games for Man City. If I remember correctly, there was one where he came on after 45 minutes and scored. Then there was one where he came on and only played 9 minutes. And then there was one where he didn't get on the pitch at all. So that's a risk you have to take with Foden. Defensively, a lot of people are talking about Cancelo. I don't know what to think. For me, Kyle Walker seems to be the only real fixture in that defence. But then he doesn't necessarily do an awful lot. But the centre-backs are a bit too expensive for my liking, especially when there's no guarantee of clean sheets and they don't really do much else. I don't know. What you think, Jamie?
I think I agree with you on most of the points as well. I think if I were to hazard a pick, it would probably be for Kyle Walker in defence. I know they don't get clean sheets. I know that he's at least going to play the games, which kind of like negates the Pep rotation factor, you know. I'll probably go in with Walker, and then I would consider looking into Sterling. I just don't know where City are going to lie this season. Like, it's still so up and down for them. You just don't know, and I suppose that's just the luck of this season in general. Like, you just don't know. They could beat Spurs, lose to Burnley, and then like go ahead and beat Manchester United. You just don't know.
Could you imagine them losing to Burnley? I suppose it's possible, actually.
Literally, it would be possible. I mean, we've seen some 7-2s, we've seen 6-1s. Like, it's literally anything's possible right now.
True.
That's the scariness of it all.
One last thing I would say is that a lot of people are going to jump on City in the next coming weeks, because apparently for the next 14 game weeks, not just the next 14 game weeks, they've only got like 2 or 3 really difficult fixtures, and it's just a case of whether they're going to click or not. But regardless of that, I think a lot of people are going to be putting their money with City and hoping that they do click. So you're going to see transfers for De Bruyne go up, for Jesus go up, so if that's something to keep an eye on.
Cool. Nice one, guys. All right, next is Liverpool. We all have been watching the news. We know there's some injuries going on at Liverpool. The defence is not as solid as it was. Some of the fullbacks are out as well. And then to top it off, obviously, you've got Salah, who has had to quarantine. And Adele will be back for the next fixture, which is against Leicester. So they have Leicester, Brighton, Wolves and Fulham. So I'd say probably one tough one and 3 fairly straightforward ones they should win, but then again you can't really count Wolves off. However, Wolves is at home and Liverpool do have a really good fixture at home. Same with Leicester. So this is something to consider, guys. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Jamie, I don't know what you think.
You want me to start? I don't know. I'm like, literally, this is the conundrum of the week for me, because I've got both Salah and Trent, and both of them, they're out for, at the moment, FPL is saying the 28th for Salah, which means that he'll miss the Brighton game. So that means he could be out for Leicester and then maybe expected back for Brighton. We'll just have to see how it goes. Can I afford that much money? Because, I mean, my bench does not look good. So it's just him being my big money signing. I don't know. I would say with Liverpool going away to these teams, I would say, which might be a hot take, but I would look to the defence and I would look to see how, maybe not straight away for Leicester, but after Leicester, see who they settle with in defence, since they've got defensive troubles at the moment. And you could find a cheap player to get you some clean sheets.
Yeah, possibly.
That's what I'm looking into.
If they had to start tomorrow, it looks to me that they're going to have Simakis at left back, Nico Williams at right back, Phillips and Matip in the centre of defence.
Maybe not clean sheets.
I didn't want to say anything, but you set me off there. It's not confidence expiring. I don't know. I mean, Leicester, anything could happen in that game, and Vardy's just looking dangerous again. And and we all know Liverpool like to press, and if they press right off the pitch and Vardy gets away, then that's a clean sheet gone there. Brighton also like to have a go, so again you've probably got a point with the clean sheet gone there as well. With Wolves aren't scoring a massive amount of goals at the moment, but they are defending relatively well, so that game could go either way. I mean, the only real one that stands out is Fulham. So don't be surprised.
Fulham have got Mitrovic, though. Mitrovic will probably get a goal.
Yeah, although he has been looking, shocking lately. I mean, he missed a penalty for Serbia, didn't he, when they were doing the penalty shootout against Scotland? But that's different, though. I'm not going to hold that against him. I've got to say, Yeah, don't be surprised if you don't get an awful lot from your Liverpool players. However, if you want to ditch them, that's another thing because I think I'm going to hold on to Salah. It's not like he's injured per se, it's just that he can't play. But as soon as
Hmm.
the isolation period is over, he's going to be back on the pitch and he's going to be itching to start scoring. So I'm holding on to Salah. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think it'd be a case of take it on the chin with your Liverpool assets. If you transfer them out, then you have to think that you're going to have to transfer them back in again. So that's two transfers you're tying up with just players from one
I mean,
team. Do you really want to waste them? I don't know.
you've made the assumption that I might want to bring him back in. I'm looking at Trent.
Ouch.
Like, I'm not. I haven't got any patience with this guy, man. He's been there from the beginning. He's done nothing.
Okay. No, that fair enough. That's fair enough. I can't argue with that.
Cool. All right. So those are your thoughts on the Liverpool assets. It should be an interesting game against Leicester anyway. It will be a good chance to see how Liverpool react without some of the key players on the field. And I think it should definitely set a tone for the next couple of games they have, which should be, once again, straightforward games. But depending on how this game plays out, I reckon it can make a massive difference. So, okay. So the next one we've got is Arsenal. So with Arsenal, they've got some fairly okay fixtures coming up. However, they are playing some teams that do have some attacking threat. So they've got Leeds away, Wolves at home, Tottenham away, Burnley at home. What are your thoughts, guys? It's with Arsenal, it's a bit of a tough one, isn't it, as well?
Jamie, you want to kick us off?
Sure. With Arsenal, I suppose you guys were expecting some kind of insight from me, but I couldn't even tell you. Literally, after Aston Villa, I've had the stuff knocked out of me, so I don't know where to look. It really depends how we line up against Leeds. It depends. It does. Everything wasted is on that game because if you listen, well, I don't know how much you focus, probably not as much as me on the press conferences and stuff afterwards. But Arteta said that he needs more goals. He's going to be more attacking. He's going to want to push forward. He needs to rethink the lineup. He made all the right noises, and he's done this before. But we've got to wait and see. If he plays Aubameyang through the middle, he brings Pepe on the right. He plays a young star on the left, i.e. Saka. Changed up the midfield a bit. I don't know. If he does something, Arsenal could look like a completely different team against Leeds. But it matters on him. If he goes ahead and puts the same lineup that he did against Villa, that he did against Man United, we're probably going to lose again. It's just that real. So it really depends. I have a feeling, though, that after this international break, I feel like he's going to feel the pressure and he's going to start putting Aubameyang through the middle. So that might be an area to look through for goals. I mean, I know a lot of people might have sold him out because he was very expensive, but I think his price has dropped a bit, and so maybe you could get him in. And as a midfielder who scores as many goals as he's capable of scoring, he could be looking. I wouldn't immediately go for the defence because I just don't know where we are. Like I said, we've 1-4 lost. You can't write this. It's 50-50 at this point.
Jamie, you're killing me. You're killing me with the comments about the defence, which is fair enough. Yeah, it's all about the attack at the moment, isn't it? I think the questions floating around really is they've got to be more potent up front. And he might well do something about it. Like I always say, managers react to things. Just because a team doesn't score for 4 games running doesn't mean they're going to not score for the 5th one because they'll be desperate to change that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't help feeling that you've actually been quite insightful there. And then Arsenal are going to pull out all the stops in trying to get a goal. And against Leeds, that's entirely possible. I was listening to some Leeds fans recently, and they said that although Bielsa's a good manager and a good tactician, he always does the same thing every single game. And one thing he always does is that the way that Leeds defend, it's a man marking all over the pitch. And it doesn't matter whether a Leeds player is good at marking or bad at marking, or whether they're marking a good player or a bad player, they will stick with that man throughout the whole 90 minutes. So if Bielsa puts somebody up against, say, Aubameyang or Pepe or Saka who can't cope with them, then he's not going to change it, and that might open things right up for Arsenal. So I think there could be games, there could be goals in that. That might be another 4-3, might be a 4-3 to Arsenal. With the Wolves, again, I think Jamie's got it nailed on here. It really depends on how they kick on from the Leeds game and how that sets them up for the following games. But Wolves is difficult, Spurs is difficult, and I know that Harry Kane always likes to score in the North London derby. And then Burnley just might spoil the party because by that time Dyche might have his defensive problems sorted out, and they might just stifle Arsenal.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's
Good
funny that you say that,
there,
because
guys.
I look forward more to the away games than I do to the home games, just because of the attitude of the opposing team. When they come to Arsenal, they're camping in, and Arsenal can't play against you when they're camped in. But when we go to their house, they feel like they can attack us, and that's when you mistake. Because you open up the midfield, you open up the wide areas, and then we can get you.
No, I think that goes for a lot of teams. Yeah.
Cool. Nice one, guys.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
All right. Next, let's go for West Ham, a team who's in good form at the moment. Next 4 fixtures are Sheffield United, Aston Villa, Manchester United, and Leeds. So Sheffield United away, Aston Villa at home, Manchester United at home, and Leeds away. Are we going to consider any assets from West Ham, or do we think they're overachieving, so to speak?
I think the thing about West Ham is that they're reliably unreliable, and sometimes they can turn it on, and sometimes they can't. And you've just got to kind of take it on the chin when you've got West Ham assets. Sometimes accept that they're just some games they're just going to do terribly in, and they're going to concede like 3 or 4 goals or something. With Sheffield United, I expect them to get something from that game. Aston Villa, I mean, who knows? Aston Villa will give them again. Man United, I think I actually said last week that it's a game that normally throws up interesting results. And after the way West Ham did Spurs, it wouldn't surprise me if they went and embarrassed Ole as well. And then the Leeds game, again, I'm not really sure. In terms of assets, they've got that right wing back, Kufal or Sufal, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. He's yours for 4.5 and he's very creative. There's Cresswell, he is 5.1, so he's a bit on the dear side for what you're getting. Then there's Souček, who I think is worth a shout. Again, I read somewhere that he spends almost as much time in the opposition penalty box as he does in his own half. So for a 4.9 midfielder, he's worth a punt. If you've got a 4th or 5th midfield spot, then he's going to pop up with goals occasionally. He's not going to blow you away with points, but that's because he's only 4.9 mil. And then all eyes obviously have been on Antonio all this time, but I don't know when he's going to be back. He's still flat, and there's no return date given for him. So that's my analysis anyway.
Yeah, it's really sad, to be fair, because he was having such a great season, doing so well. But yeah, I think you made some good points there in terms of some potential West Ham assets that people could look at. And I do think you're right. With that United game, I can see a shock. I can see that being a shock game. So see how that plays out. Cool. It's going to be a funny one. Let's look at Spurs.
Okay.
So Spurs have some tough fixtures coming up. Their lovely run of games has now ended. And, they had a really good run. Their last 4 prior to the ones coming up was West Brom, Brighton, Burnley, and West Ham. The next 4 is Manchester City, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Crystal Palace. And I don't want to talk about what they got after that, but what are your thoughts, guys? I mean, defensively, I'd reckon most people would stay away. Most people are staying away now anyway, but are we still looking at Son and Kane as people we would either bring in or keep holding if we had them?
Well, it's the very tough one. I would probably ditch Son and keep Kane because I think I mentioned this before. Spurs doesn't have to win those games for Kane to get points. So I can see him scoring in all 4 of those games, basically. And if he gets 6 points and picks up some bonus, that's fine by me because he plays 90 minutes, he's on penalties, and he's fairly reliable. Now, I want to say one thing kind of quickly. A lot of people are saying that Mourinho's reverting to type here, and because Spurs only won their last couple of games by 1 goal, they're saying, he's keeping it tight. He'd much rather score a goal and then shut up shop because he doesn't want to lose those games. And I think, okay, fair enough. Mourinho does have that reputation. But the fact is, while he's been in charge of Spurs, there have been some real ding-dong results. And just because Mourinho's known as a defensive manager, that doesn't mean Spurs can't occasionally go nuts and score lots of goals. I was going to go through Mourinho's entire history with Spurs just to see how many times Spurs have scored more than 2 or 3 goals, but I couldn't be bothered. I'll just say this. Look, they scored like 5 goals against Southampton, 6 goals against Man United. Don't rely on Spurs being low scorers because they've got attacking talent all over the pitch.
Yeah.
Bale looks like he's back to his best. Son can do it. Kane can do it. You know, they've got Lo Celso, they've got Ndombele, they've got Bergwijn, they've got Lamela. You know, they can all come on. And who knows, maybe even Vinicius might start scoring in the Premier League. So just because, you know, Mourinho's got his reputation, it doesn't always mean Spurs are going to be low scoring games because even while he's been manager, they have scored lots of goals in a single game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that is true, and that is a very valid point to make. And I think, you know, if people do have Spurs players and they're kind of like maybe panicking, that's probably a good point to listen to. And remember, Spurs do score. Your Kanes and your Sons will score. So maybe if you do have them, don't be too quick to ditch them just yet, probably.
No,
you know,
I
Spurs
agree.
are at home to City as well. And, you know, like, I know you don't really have the crowds, but home advantage is a home advantage. They don't have to travel. So,
No, you're right. You're right. And also Kane is their penalty taker. So, and
Yeah.
there's always a mandatory North London derby penalty kick for Kane. So that's definitely going to happen.
I'm licking my lips now. I'm going to get
I'm
on
telling
the
you.
Bellerin defence. Why are you killing me with my Bellerin pick, Jamie? Like,
I mean, I'm just look, facts are facts. Like all I've said is that, like, Arsenal's defence. If you're looking for clean sheets, I'm not 100% sure because of the way we fell apart with Villa. It feels like it's been a little.
I've got such buyer's remorse now. 5.1 billion he cost me, and like,
oh, come off it, 5.1 billion. But I would say if you were looking for an anomaly result, the Villa game was an anomaly result because every single Arsenal fan I've listened to or spoken to since that game, they've all said they've never felt worse after an Arteta's reign Arsenal game as that game because it was just like life. It was unbelievable. It was like, you know, them games where your team just hasn't shown up, and that's what it felt like for Arsenal. So I do feel like he's really, really shown his non-negotiables to them over this break, and like they're going to be training hard, and he's never going to let it happen. And it doesn't mean Bellerin is a player who plays a lot in the final third as well. So you're bound to get an assist.
True. It's true. It's just that I just can't believe how wrong I got it. I thought, okay, I'll wait until the Man United game's over and he gets 9 points. So, well, I've got him for Villa now. You know, show me the points, show me the money. Anyway, I'm going to stop.
That's so funny.
But regarding Spurs, I agree with you. I think you're right. I think if you've got an attacking player, keep him. I think Kane is equally as good as Son. I think that they bounce off each other so much. I mean, Kane is probably more likely just because of the penalties, but I don't think Son's a bad shout either. And but I don't know. I'm not convinced about Bale back to his best. I mean, I'm not convinced. Me saying that now, he's going to get a hat-trick against Arsenal, but I'm not convinced about Bale being his best. But yeah, definitely Kane and Son, look into them. And you're right, Tottenham don't have to win for Kane and Son to get some points.
Cool. All right. On that note, actually, should we bounce on to Aston Villa? And Villa have some of the best fixtures for a while to come, to be fair. So Villa have Brighton at home, West Ham away, Newcastle at home, and Wolves away. They've not only played brilliantly attacking-wise, they've played brilliantly defending-wise. Jack Grealish has, you know, had the call up to the England squad, and they've already said he is a player that England need. His flair, his vision, his confidence is literally oozing with talent this season. So with the upcoming fixtures, they do have, once again, fairly straightforward fixtures, in my opinion, in comparison to some of the games they've played, which is Brighton at home, West Ham away, Newcastle at home, and Wolves away. You know, what are your thoughts on acquiring any assets from Aston Villa?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've nailed it there. The next 4 fixtures, and in fact beyond, are mouth-watering. Grealish is a no-brainer, I'm afraid. He plays 90 minutes. He's a midfielder, but he can get goals. He gets fouled all the time, so if somebody scores off a free kick and a penalty, he gets a fantasy assist. And he's always involved in what Aston Villa do. And he pretty much plays wide left for them. You know, I mean, I don't want to compare him to Salah, but he's a midfielder who's literally up there where the action is. In
Yeah.
terms of other assets, Barkley's still worth a look, I think. Yeah, he was been a bit quiet, but he's starting as well, and they've brought him in to play and do stuff. Ollie Watkins, he's starting to look the real deal. I wouldn't blame you for being cautious about him because it's not always easy to make the step up from Championship to Premier League. But again, for 6.1, it's not like he's going to blow you away with points. But if he ticks over, then you still got money to spend on the likes of Vardy, Jesus, Kane, or whoever, if you want to spend a lot up front. In terms of the defence, I don't know. I've never been a big fan of Tyrone Mings. He's 5.3 at the moment, which is a lot for somebody in a team with Villas who have been improving defensively, but I think they're still, capable of getting taken apart. I suppose Matthew Targett would be the one for me. He's only 4.5 and he does create a lot of chances.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then Martinez goes without saying. He's a good keeper. He's still only 4.8. I mean, I'd think twice if he were 5 million, but if he was less than 5, you might as well.
Good shout. Jamie, who would your 3 picks be if you had to pick 3 people from the Villa squad to be in your fantasy football team?
Well, I mean, I'm going to bar Grealish because I've already got him. I'll still pick 3.
I'll go Grealish, I guess. Yeah.
No, because I'm gonna say Barkley just because I feel like Grealish. If you look at his displays for England, if you look at his displays this season, he's a nailed-on pick for everybody. So if you can find someone else in that team that happens to get bonus points or a couple more points than Grealish, then that's gonna give you the little bit of head and shoulders above the rest.
A little bit
Barkley
of a
would be the other. Yeah, the differential. And Barkley would be the other person to look because he was on fire with Arsenal as well.
Yeah.
He was just as creative as Grealish, but just coming through the middle. And that's exactly what they brought Barkley in for, to take away some of the creative pressure from Grealish. So I think if you look into him, them two together, if you have got both, then why not? But if you've got one or the other, I think you'll do pretty well. I think Barkley, you've just got to give him a little bit of time to settle in and hit the heights that Grealish has been hitting, and he'll get there. I think Ollie Watkins as well. I think he's a good striker to have because I feel like strikers apart from Werner and Kane and Bamford, if you're willing for it, it's like I don't know, they're not prolific as the midfielders this season. So I think it's worth a punt to go for Ollie Watkins, and then like safe as houses, Martinez in goal.
Sweet. I like those 3 picks. Okay. All right. Shall we move on?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
So we'll take the contrast then. We'll just then go to Leicester.
Leicester.
So Leicester, obviously, we know who they've got next, but 3 after that. So Leicester's got Liverpool, Fulham, Sheffield United, and Brighton. So obviously Liverpool's a tough fixture, and then they've got 3 very easy fixtures after that. So it's actually pretty good. And considering Liverpool's weekend, I wouldn't say is a tough fixture for them. So what are your thoughts, guys, on any players from Leicester right now? Who would you kind of be looking at or doing if you had any of them?
Jamie, I'll let you go first.
Have you got any Leicester players, Jamie?
No, I had Harvey Barnes for a while, and I got frustrated and transferred him out. But
Really?
yeah, I did. I had him for most of them, to be honest. I can't remember which game week it was, but I was getting frustrated with him, and I swapped him out for Grealish because I had some money left over, which was a great decision.
Yeah, that's true, I suppose.
But I don't know. Looking at Leicester's fixtures, they're not bad. Sheffield, Brighton, Fulham, and well, even Liverpool, they can get some joy there. I think Vardy, of course. I think it goes without saying. He looks like he's finding form, and we know what it's like when Vardy finds form. It's hat tricks and braces here and there. So like literally, and then he'll go quiet for like 4 or 5 games, but then it'll be another roll of hat tricks and braces. So I think Vardy. I think maybe look into their defence. I'm not really sure how they've been doing. They've been doing okay at the back, to be honest. But I think maybe look into their defence. That would be you could pick a player from there. But,
yeah, I quite like the look of Fofana. He's got a knee injury right now, so he might not play. But if he does play, I quite like the look of him, especially from his last game. He's one of those centre-backs that's very confident with the ball, steps really far up, actually, to pass the ball. And he's very good at tackling. He's very fast. He's got a lot of pace. he's got good ball control. He's good at passing the ball. He looks very promising. I think he's one to kind of keep on the radar, and he's really cheap as well. He's only 5 mil.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah,
No,
so
not bad at all.
one to keep an eye on. And
I think that spot is his for him to lose now because Soyuncu's not going to be back until January.
no. What about the so he's not expected back until the 21st of November. The fullback, Castagna? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like it also. But like you said, I'm not sure how it's his hamstring, so you've got to see how he recovers from that as well. I don't know how rushed Rodgers will be to get him back into the side straight away.
Cool. What about yourself, Kojo? Who do you like the look of?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jamie's right. Vardy, even though the next game is Liverpool, I wouldn't write that off him. And then the rest, he's going to have joy there as well. With the midfield, it's a bit more difficult because, like Jamie said, Harvey Barnes is quite a frustrating player to own. He shoots a lot, but, if he's not hitting it, I mean, you could think about Tielemans. Tielemans sits a bit deeper, I think. It's more a kind of the assister type. But when Vardy's not on the pitch, he takes the penalties. And he's got the same amount of points as Harvey Barnes. You can get him for 0.5 less. So he might be worth a look. He's 6.4 for Tielemans. And the defence, I think you pretty much covered it. I mean, I've got Justin. I know a lot of people have. And until Pereira's back, I'm quite happy to stick with him as well.
Yeah, nice. Cool. All right, we've got 3 teams left. Should be pretty quick for these ones. So next we've got Wolves. They've got Southampton, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Aston Villa. So not the easiest of fixtures, I'd say, overall. What are your thoughts, guys? Any attacking or defensive players you might still consider for Wolves?
I don't know, man. I mean, Wolves are good. They're organised, but they don't look like they're blowing teams away at the moment. And because they've been in the Premier League for a while and they're a reliably good team, you do have to pay a fair bit for their assets, like more than what you would pay for Aston Villa assets result. I mean, Jimenez, he's generally quite reliable, but, sometimes he's also just quiet. And when he does score, it's normally just one goal at a time. 8.4, again, for a little bit more money, you could be getting Jesus, Vardy, or Kane, or Werner, and for a little bit less, you could be getting Bamford. Yeah. With the rest, there's just a bit too much rotation there for my liking. Neto, Podence, Traore, they're all good, but you don't know if they're going to start. Although I've been hearing that Traore's been making a lot of noise in the press recently, hasn't he? About how he's not starting enough. And I don't know if Espirito Santos is going to react to that. It might backfire on Traore. He just might think, right, I'll show you.
Well, I guess he wants to get in the Spain squad, doesn't he? So
yeah,
to make as much as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Jamie, is there anyone in the Wolves team that you particularly like the look of for the next upcoming fixtures, or would you kind of not really look at them twice?
I mean, I don't know with Wolves. Like Kojo said, they were so prolific over the last couple of seasons. This season, it just feels a bit flat. Like, it's just not as exciting anymore. You're not seeing so many out of the box, like crazy shots. You're not seeing 2 or 3 goals up. It's just like 1 and done or 0-0 or just boring results. If I'm looking at Wolves, I'm looking at their defence. I'm looking, because I think those are their highest scoring players. Maybe at Patricio for 5.5 million, not a bad keeper. Or Saiss, who likes to get forward as a defender. So those are the 2 areas that I'll be looking at for them too. I don't know if I would bother Jimenez, like for the price point and the amount of goals I'm getting in return. It's just not worth it.
Cool.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
All right, moving on. We've got 2 pretty poorly performing teams. So I'll give you guys a quiz. Can you guess what 2 teams are at the bottom of the league right now?
Oh, come on, man.
Come on, guys. You've got 5 seconds.
Fulham, West Brom. Fulham, Burnley.
Sorry?
Fulham, Burnley?
Yeah, is it Sheffield United and West Brom?
Ooh, close, guys. You need to combine those 2 answers. Come on.
Burnley, Sheffield.
Yeah, it's Burnley and Sheffield.
Oh, right.
So you got Sheffield United with 1 point. However, they've played 8 games, and you've got Burnley with 2 points. However, they've played 7 games.
Scary stuff, man.
So
It's
after
scary.
Burnley's next game, they might move to third from bottom because I'm pretty sure West Brom will lose and Burnley. Actually, no, Burnley might lose as well. So actually, no, you never know.
No, you never know. But
Unless they shock Palace. But,
yeah, a lot of people think they
yeah,
might get out of it. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
are we going to bother to look at West Brom and Fulham's fixtures, or is it just like
Nah,
nah?
I was just gonna say that those are the two worst teams. I left them for last on purpose,
Yeah,
and I think obviously it'd be suicide if anyone considered putting any of their players from Fulham or West Brom in their team, considering the fixtures they have coming up.
yes, that's true. I mean, I suppose long term, some people reckon that the fact that Ivanovic is at West Brom might improve their defence, but he's like 74. I don't know how that's going to help. I don't know how that's going to help
He's
them.
a dressing room signing.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
so
It's
yeah,
crazy, man. Sheffield, think about how you talk about Sheffield last season, and think about how you talk about them this season.
I
but
know.
I think
Scary.
it's topsy turvy because I have to admit, like a lot of people, I thought overlapping centre backs last season when they got promoted and they had overlapping centre backs. I just thought well, that just means that they've got a big hole in their defence and they're going to get ripped to shreds. And they didn't. And now everybody's like, oh, Sheffield United, they're quite reliable. And now they're getting ripped to shreds. So it's kind of they've kind of switched it round. The expectations have switched round, haven't they?
I mean, people were looking at
Yeah.
Chris Wilder like he's the best manager in the Premier League last season. It's the same guy.
There was a lot of talk. I mean, I touched on it by saying that being a good manager is not just about finding hungry players, but it's about finding players who stay hungry. And sometimes they just take their foot off the pedal. And if you can't motivate them, you've got to ship them out and get in people who are going to want to do it season after season after season. Yeah.
I think they should look at what's that? Man United second keeper. Try and get him in on loan or something like that. That might help him out a little bit.
Well, that's cold. So bad. But anyway.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
Yeah, so if you want to squeeze in, well, I mean, we've pretty much looked at the fixtures which are going to come up this weekend in one way or another anyway. But if anybody wants to make any quick predictions of any kind, like who's going to bang this weekend or whether they expect a good result or a bad result.
I expect a good result from United, and I expect Fernandes to do bits against West Brom. I also expect a good result from Everton against Fulham, and I expect Calvert-Lewin to do some bits. Finally, I expect a good result from Palace, and I expect Zaha to do some bits, probably get a penalty as well.
Ooh. Big J, you got any thoughts about this weekend?
I don't know if it's a thought or if it's just wishful thinking. Aubameyang hat-trick.
Let me think about that for a minute. Hang on.
Oh man, I don't know. I think the Liverpool-Leicester game, I'm really interested to see how that goes. Because
Yes.
Liverpool with a lack of defence, Brendan Rodgers being the Tinkerman and like loving to like pick his game plan against the team he's playing against. I'm intrigued to see what he does. I feel like he might just stick 5 attackers on and just say, you know what, have it.
I think all eyes are going to be on that game. I don't really have too much more to add to what you guys have just said. But I will say one thing. You know, Jurgen Klopp is still a good manager. So you don't know. Maybe some of these kids, some of these fringe players might suddenly come good because, you know, at the end of the day, he did pick them for a reason. And he probably thought to himself, if the worst comes to the worst, I can rely on these guys to step in. You know, and if they all do the Gegenpressing and Leicester don't even get out of their half, then Jota pops up with a couple of goals. It could be all over.
Yeah, rock and roll football.
So, I mean, Alisson's still goal, you know.
I know.
What do you think, Derek? You, the Liverpool fan, what do you think?
I think we've still got Mane, and he is our best player so far this season. And we've got Firmino and we've got Jota. So, yeah, we've got a good attacking trio. We've still got a strong midfield. It's just the defensive side is a little bit weaker. So, yeah, I do think there'll be goals on both sides, and I think it might finish like 2-2 or 3-2.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight one. We say that, but hey, like it could be 9-0. Who knows?
9-0, just imagine. When was the last
would
time
love
that ever happened?
Oh,
It's been a while, hasn't it?
been a while, not
Okay.
long enough though.
It's that type of season.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
All right, I think that brings us to the end of proceedings this evening. If you're listening on the YouTube versions, then by all means hit the like button. Also subscribe so you know when the next episode is coming out, and show some love. It's all good. Our Twitter handle is in the description below at FPL_Bros. So hit us up on Twitter. We'll be showing you what we're going to be doing with our FPL Bros team on there. And also, if you've got any questions or any thoughts on what we discussed tonight, please let us know. But also, yeah, questions as well, and we will look at them at the next episode. So, I'm just going to bounce now, and I'm going to say goodbye.
Goodbye
Take
from me
care,
too.
guys.